In collaboration with the Air Force's 517th Training Group's Linguist Next program, we developed the Mage Duel Serious Game, a learning tool to support language proficiency for U.S. Air Force language analysts. In the fantasy world of Dagon, word magic is erupting across the land, and players must use their evolving word magic to navigate complex challenges and win quests. Mage Duel features timed language production activities that build language fluency, accuracy, and complexity, while rewarding the learner for semantic similarity rather than exact formal language equivalence. Semantic similarity is how close two utterances are to each other based on meaning. The game currently includes one multilingual semantic similarity engine and is built for expansion. This state-of-the-art deep neural network-based model powers the language production activity. This means that players' in-game language inputs are evaluated based on meaning, which mirrors the way humans naturally acquire language skills. Let's see this learning activity in action. The player initiates a duel and immediately begins producing a sentence. After submission, the player receives immediate feedback as fluency, accuracy, and complexity are analyzed to determine proficiency. If a minimum threshold of proficiency is achieved, the player is armed with a fireball, which can be used in combat against the enemy mage. A second learning activity builds both receptive and productive vocabulary knowledge by developing phonological, semantic, and context discrimination skills. In this activity, the player must collect magical threads by correctly identifying target words from several options. Our semantic similarity engine powers the language production activity and makes language learning more effective. Our semantic similarity engine represents language as vectors in a multidimensional meaning space. It's like a set of coordinates, but instead of having 2 dimensions like coordinates on a map, our meaning space features 512 dimensions to represent meaning. Using math applied to these vector embeddings, we can tell how close in the meaning space, and therefore meaning, the player's translation is to the source phrase. We can do this without relying on the use of specific words in the player's translation. We can evaluate if the player gets the meanings close, even without using previously given translations for individual words. Let's look at how valuable this tool can be for language learning. This example shows a sentence in the target language and a translation that is 100% correct. The player would receive full credit for this answer. This example shows a semantically similar answer. Because the meaning is the same, the player would receive full credit for this answer too. This example shows a partially correct answer. The player would receive partial points for this answer. Learning language is fundamentally about understanding and being understood. Our semantic similarity engine allows the player to practice comprehensible inputs and outputs, a critical part of language learning that isn't adequately addressed by today's language learning software tools. The corpora of words, phrases, and sentences are drawn from the DLI language curricula, although they can also be drawn from other curricula or other sources. We are currently working with researchers to develop a Spanish language version of the game. We've included Spanish content in this build to aid reviewers in evaluating the game, as the game is designed to complement formal language study. We are Tutorworks. We worked with the Office of Naval Research for 5 years and developed Project Azrael, a zombie-themed serious game that trains working memory to improve fluid intelligence. We were thrilled when Project Azrael was chosen as a finalist in the 2019 ITSEC Serious Games Showcase. In addition to the imaginative, talented, and fun showcase participants and organizers, we met hundreds of military end users and decision makers. It was those introductions that led us to Mage Duel and our collaboration with the Air Force's 517th Training Group's Linguist Next program. Through a competitive SBIR process and Idea Scale campaign, sponsored by AFWorks, the innovation hub of the U.S. Air Force, our Mage Duel project brings together experts in language learning, education, and game-based learning with end users and stakeholders from the U.S. Air Force and DoD communities.
Generations of language analysts come through with varying degrees of either despising the language or just not acquiring it to the level that we really need for national security purposes. And doing this learning, applying technology in a creative way to do so, I want us to be able to say to these students, you're getting it now, congratulations.
Our new game, Mage Duel, draws on our expertise in blending learning activities into gameplay mechanics and brings together advanced technologies in novel ways so language professionals can enjoy acquiring and sustaining language proficiency at an accelerated pace, significantly reducing training costs while improving readiness and protecting national security.